I know that Nonfiction November just ended, but any time is always a great time to read nonfiction and learn. So, we're going to talk about some new books. Let's get into it. Hola, mi gente. MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to tell you about some nonfiction reads that have been sent to me by publishers and ones that I have purchased myself. First up, we have Stench, The Making of the Thomas Court and the Unmaking of America by David Brock. This one says, there is a pervasive perception and growing fear that various far-right forces are trying to subvert American democracy. David Brock, best-selling author, shows in this meticulously researched and incisive new book that such concern is far more than just a perception. It is a frightening reality. And what's being used to undermine our entire democratic system is the very same body meant to safeguard it, the Supreme Court. Timely. Next up, we have Undivided, The Quest for Racial Solidarity in an American Church by Hari Han. In 2006, even as Ohio helped deliver victory to presidential candidate Donald Trump, Cincinnati voters passed the ballot initiative for universal preschool. The margin of victory was so large that many who elected Trump must have, paradoxically, also voted for the initiative. How could the same citizens support such philosophically disparate aims? What had convinced residents of this Midwestern Rust Belt community to raise their own taxes to provide early childhood education focused on the poorest and mostly Black communities? And so this is about the inspiring story of evangelicals in Cincinnati struggling to bridge racial divides in their own church, their community, and across the nation. Again, timely. Next up, we have Above the Noise by DeMar DeRozan, or D Rose, as some call him. I was able to get a signed copy of this one, and it reads, DeMar DeRozan, six-time NBA All-Star, has been called a basketball savant and the best closer in the NBA. But when he went public with his depression, it sparked a conversation that reached far beyond the court. By breaking the stigma of speaking out, he added a new voice to the mental health dialogue, a successful Black male athlete openly naming his pain and advocating for others to do the same. I'm actually really excited to get into this one. Next up, we have one that I have mentioned before. That is The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I actually have two copies of this one, and this one is the signed copy that I have. And it reads, Ta-Nehisi Coates originally set out to write a book about writing in the tradition of Orwell's classic Politics in the English Language, but found himself grappling with deeper questions about how our stories, our reporting, and imaginative narratives and myth-making expose and distort our realities. I'm always looking forward to Coates. Next up, we have one that I'm hoping to read with a couple of others to really delve into a topic, and that is A Day in the Life of Abed Salama, Anatomy of a Jerusalem Tragedy by Nathan Thrall, and this one won the Pulitzer Prize. It reads, 5-year-old Malad Salama is excited for a school trip to a theme park on the outskirts of Jerusalem. On the way, his bus collides with a semi-trailer. His father, Abed, gets word of the crash and rushes to the site. The scene is chaos. The children have been taken to different hospitals in Jerusalem and the West Bank. Some are missing and others cannot be identified. Abed sets off on an odyssey to learn Malad's fate. Really interested to get into this one. Really deals with the hardship the Palestinians have when navigating the Jerusalem laws, or the Israeli laws. Next up, we have Health and Safety, A Breakdown by Emily Witt. This one reads, in the summer of 2016, a divisive presidential election was underway and a new breed of right-wing rage was on the rise. Emily Witt, who would soon publish her first book on sex in the digital age, had recently quit antidepressants for the more expansive world of psychedelic experimentation. From her apartment in Brooklyn, she began to catch glimpses of the clandestine nightlife scene thrumming around her. So, just a little bit, but looking forward to that one. Next up, we have two books in one. The first is Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave by Frederick Douglass. And next is Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs. And this one says, as Kwame Anthony Appiah states, the slave narrative is the first African American literary genre, a powerful creative response to America's racial tragedy. This modern library edition contains two of the most important personal accounts of African American slavery. Frederick Douglass's narrative, first published in 1845, traces his birth into slavery, his escape to the North, and the beginning of the career that was to make him the preeminent spokesman for his people. Harriet Jacobs' Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, published under a pseudonym in 1861, broke the silence on the unique exploitation faced by female slaves. It has since become central to our understanding of women's experiences of slavery in America. United in one volume with extensive annotations, these seminal works inform each other and present vivid, powerful portraits of life during one of the most devastating periods in American history. Looking forward to that. I earlier this year really went on like a binge and really wanted to know like everything about Frederick Douglass. So looking forward to reading this. Next up, we have one that will go along with the first book I mentioned, and that is My Grandfather's Son by Clarence Thomas, a memoir. It says, provocative, inspiring, and unflinchingly honest, My Grandfather's Son is the story of one of America's most remarkable and controversial leaders, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, told in his own words. Thomas speaks out, revealing the pieces of his life he holds dear, detailing the suffering and injustices he has overcome, including the acrimonious and polarizing Senate hearing involving a former aide, Anita Hill, and the depression and despair it created in his own life and the lives of those closest to him. In this candid and deeply moving memoir, a quintessential American tale of hardship and grit, Clarence Thomas recounts his astonishing journey for the first time. I think this will be an interesting read. Next, we have One Day I'll Grow Up and Be a Beautiful Woman by Abby Maxwell, and this is a mother's story. It also came with this. It's cute. All right. Abby Maxwell grew up in rural New Hampshire, one of 8 kids in a poor town abutting a wealthier lakeside village. Maxwell moved away, but once she married and became pregnant, she knew she wanted to raise her child near the mountains and lake of her youth. When her 6-year-old, who was known to the world as a boy, asked to wear pink sneakers, asked to be a witch for Halloween, asked to wear a girl's dance costume, Maxwell worried about how their small community would react. But when that child changed her name, grew her hair long, and announced that she is a girl, a firestorm descended upon her family. Looking forward to reading this one. I don't know if you all are familiar, but the singer Sade just dropped a song recently in tribute to her son. Definitely check it out. Next, we have Ordinary Disasters, How I Stopped Being a Model Minority by Anne Allen Chen. This one says, part memoir, part cultural criticism, part history, Anne Allen Chang's original essays focus on art, politics, and popular culture. Through personal stories woven with a keen eye and an open heart, Chang summons up the grief, love, anger, and humor in negotiating the realities of being a scholar, an immigrant Asian American woman, a cancer patient, a wife of a white man, and a mother of biracial children, all in the midst of the extraordinary stress of recent years. So another one that I hope to get to soon. We also have Letters by Oliver Sacks. This one is a little hefty. It reads, Oliver Sacks, one of the greatest humanists of our age, who describes himself in these pages as a philosophical physician and an astronomer of the inward, wrote to an eclectic array of family and friends. Most were scientists, artists, and writers, even statesmen. But many of the most eloquent letters in this collection are addressed to the ordinary people who wrote to him with their odd symptoms and questions, to whom he responds with a sense of generosity and wonder. I like these reflections. Those are all the books that I wanted to discuss today. Which have y'all read? What are y'all looking forward to? Let me know in the comments. More book videos to come. As always, I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. And until the next one, please remember to give time, to be kind to each other, and have the best day of your life on purpose. Peace. Odabo. Adios. Ciao.